We're all misfits.
All right, you ragtag bunch of misfits.
You're a scrappy little misfit, just like me.
Biggest bunch of misfits I ever set eyes on.
Good morning, Misfits. You are tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast. Welcome to the 24.3 wrap-up podcast. Full Goon Squad in the house.
Bye, Hunter.
Special guest, Kenzie Riley. Kenzie,
Extra
welcome to the
goon.
show.
Hi.
How have you
Yo.
been?
Oh, I'm sore.
That good?
Guys, I'm so sore. I'm good. Yeah, life is good. I mean, I could complain, but I'm not going to because
Nah, do it. Let's see what you got.
it's a blessed life. It's insane. Like, I don't know. The transition from one child to two is just bonkers.
Super easy. Does Race body slam and throw your other child around? Just like clothesline them and knock them over constantly?
Truly,
'Cause that's what-
actually, we have started a problem.
With the
we
belt?
thought, well, my child,
Adrian
Race is a
Peterson
very-
School of Child Rearing.
believe it or not, he's like a very physical child, and he's the kind that will like,
No.
you have something I want, I'm just gonna, as his teacher puts it, rolls on his friends. He'll just like
That's
roll
hot.
on them. And
That's
yeah, I
what Z
know.
does too.
Put-
Yeah, it's
pushes
the
them
exact
down,
same thing.
rolls them, takes their stuff.
Yeah,
And
sure
so-
post WWE SmackDown every night.
Well, we thought, let's make a safe place for him to wrestle at home and explain to him, you can wrestle at home. If you don't wrestle at
padded room?
school, you only wrestle with mom and dad. You don't wrestle your friends. And I think it worked for a little while, but yeah, so him and Roy, like, it's like they're calling out like moves, like we're doing power bombs.
Figure
we're
four!
doing-
Yeah, that sounds like good programming for him to be able to really beat the shit out of those other
Well,
kids.
and the other day, actually,
I think we're overreaching,
School.
little progressive overload, linear progression. Like,
mean-
he's going to be able to fucking toss some kids around if he's wrestling dad every night.
And
amazing.
I mean, honestly, and
Just
it's
roll
so
'em.
funny. Roy makes up names for wrestling movements. Like, he just makes them up. He's like the Kirkland signature churro, or like
Fucking
like-
Costco hot dog.
yeah. He just says random stuff, and then Race will be like,
Dude.
What is it, Kenzie? But you cut out. What'd you call it?
So I'm just having,
I feel like that was a very important name.
Oh no, I know. I don't know why it just picked up on my Bluetooth in my car. Yeah, he calls it like he wants him to repeat the movements, and Roy's like, I don't know what I did. I just like did something and said it, and he like thinks it's a thing, so he uses this term. It's
Just
so
tell him
funny.
to keep making them up. See when the kid picks up.
He
on it.
does, but now they've
how
like
old are the
actually.
ki-
Yeah, he's actually like we've actually picked like we have named movements and we do repeat them, but it took him like asking us to repeat them again for us to be like, okay, this is what he means when he says this, because he'll be like, do the blah blah blah, and then he'll make up one. He called it the corn cobber the other day, and
Oh, the
like
corn
he's like the
cobber.
corn cobber.
Give her the corn cover.
That's a good name for a
RKO
move.
out of nowhere. Like he says all this shit. It's so funny. And then Roy like hold him
Corn
down,
cobber.
and he'll be like, kick out. And so, anyways, yes, we do WWE at home. And the other day he was doing it on the playground. So now it's
Jump
like
up the
crap.
playground to a kid's head.
He was doing, yeah. His teacher told me he was doing like something like elbow drops or something, and I was
People's
like,
elbow?
The people's
I
elbow,
know.
Kenzie. Grow up. Fuck.
Okay. Maybe.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't have any problem with my kid doing it to other kids. It's my problem is he's doing it to my younger son who's defenseless.
So,
Just
and
fucking
Rivy thinks it's
smashing
so
him.
funny when the boys are wrestling on the couch. She like gets up there and wants to like do it too. So I like pretend have to like do this child. She just wants to
Do
do
the corn
everything
cobber,
they're doing.
Kenzie.
That
Exactly.
shows
I
the
was
corn
like-
cover.
Give him
like,
the
"Mom, do your
Kirkland hot
move."
dog.
So that's
so good.
That's what my life
How
is
old are
like.
the kiddos, Kenzie? How old
Yeah,
are the
race
kiddos again?
race will be 4 in May, and Rivy just
Frick.
turned 1 in January. So, you know, it's crazy, especially from the hours of like 4 to 8 at my house. Like,
It's gonna be a
you don't-
solid size disparity for a couple of years.
yeah,
and the
well,
little guy will-
actually, I mean, she's 24
got a shot.
pounds. She's 24 pounds, which is not small, and
yeah,
he's like
girl.
38 pounds.
That's
He's
not
almost
small.
40 pounds.
That's
That's
wild.
crazy. Must be
Yeah, I
annoying to
know.
hold him.
Yeah, and guess what?
Carry
Guess who
yourself.
Guess who wants held more now that he's got a little sister that needs held all the time?
Oh yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
attention.
So yeah. So functional fitness at its best,
Yeah,
guys.
right?
Whee!
And sometimes I had to carry
4 in
both
1.
of them, and
Roy.
you know the backpacks
and carry Roy.
You
Might
got
as
Roy
well.
on your back.
I could do
Might
it. at
as
this
well. It's not hurting your open.
I've seen you
performance, that's for
travel
sure.
with 15
Oh,
backpacks. I'm
surprising.
confident you can carry the whole family on your back.
Talk about
I
hot
mean,
mess.
really-
We've got some good stories from Kenzie's Open coming up later in this podcast.
Gosh.
The
yeah,
Hot Mess Open
My life.
2024.
I feel like you
Everything.
could preface. I feel like you could preface any interaction with Kenzie with that statement.
That's just.
It's true.
And you know
A
what's
hot
funny?
mess with all what we got going on with Kenzie, but she's making
What's
it work.
fun-
So let's talk about it.
And that's how we do it. I mean, honestly, that's like my new way of life. Is just like, you just.
It's not
you
that
just
new,
go
Kenz.
with it. Okay.
I was gonna say it's just official.
You just roll
It's
with
just
it.
changed a bit.
I'm adaptable.
Yes,
is
you
what you're
are.
trying to tell me.
Yes,
I'm
you
an
are.
adaptable
Yes.
human. And you know what? Thank God. Thank God.
All right, before we get too far down the rabbit hole of Kirkland hot dogs and wrestling
I gotta
moves
go.
and hot mess,
Corn
They're
we're
We're
gonna
so
do
fucking good. I got one in like a month
Hunter.
ago.
No, let him go.
gonna
Tell
do
us, Hunter.
We're gonna
Chatmas,
do the top
Chatmas
20.
took me to Costco. He made me push the cart around.
What a
but
hot
we got
date.
hot dog. We got a hot
What a
dog. at the
hot
end of
date.
Yeah, we had a hot dog in the
Took
parking
me out
lot.
for a Costco.
Nice little
So
Saturday.
there's. I don't want this story to
It
sound
was.
weird, so I'm gonna clarify it. There's
listen to
a
my story?
Costco-like place in Maine called BJ's.
Oh, we have that too.
And if I kept my shit together, apparently I was a bit of a problem as a child. I don't remember that. But if I kept my shit together, I could have a churro at the end. And this sort of sounds like James.
Girls at BJ's.
Yeah, they have amazing churro. Well, when I was like 6, they were amazing.
All
They
warehouse
are.
stores. They must just.
They had
it must
cinnamon
be a
and sugar
thing.
all over them, so I was good.
Wild.
That's it.
So
Take
it
the
sort of
take the
sounds like
card.
James took you to Costco and said, if you're good, you can have a hot
You're
dog.
good.
That's where that's the connection my brain made.
I mean that. Maybe.
You do
Like,
as you're told. You can
maybe
get a hot
I was
dog.
good and I
You
got a hot
behave.
dog. I
You
got.
good boy.
I bought the
There you
hot
go.
dogs. To be fair, as a thank you for letting me enter
taking
Costco and push the cart, and thank you for taking me to Costco.
Was that your
Here's a
first
hot dog.
Costco experience?
We only have
no,
one
I
in
think
Maine.
I've been before. We didn't. We did that. This we just like this is brand new in Maine. Otherwise, it's always Sam's Club or BJ's has
Oh.
been around for a little while.
Costco
but
is so much
wasn't our-
better.
wasn't our regional? It is.
It's the
Does
best. It is
appear to be
superior.
better, yeah.
Superior
I haven't
to
been
all.
to Sam's Club in a while, but it's pretty good.
It's
The
so
carts are
popular
too
around here.
big.
I'm getting the algorithm is giving me tips on how to shop at Costco, and I've never been.
Dude, it's
And,
so
like,
good.
It's like, well, if it ends in
But now you're
99,
prepared.
then it's on sale, and if it ends in 64, it's going fucking out of business. It's crazy. I'm like, I've never been.
I hung
true.
out with a couple of my friends the
True.
other night, and I walked into Palmer and Lizzie's house, and Chatmas was showing them how to use the vacuum sealer that they just bought from Costco to vacuum seal half of a perfect bar. And I was like,
half of a
Christ.
perfect bar.
Did
yeah,
they
they
steal
were
it?
just
Fuck.
like a demo, and they were just like
So
they were all just
frugal.
gathered around the vacuum
How
sealer.
stoned
like
was
it
everyone?
like it was a goddamn
Vacuum
none,
seal?
not at all. That's the worst. That didn't even happen yet. We were all just kind of
That didn't even happen yet.
Everyone was staring at it. It was like it was a robot.
That's just an adult Saturday night. Guys,
Yeah,
bring
true,
out the
true.
vacuum sealer and test
You
it
guys
out.
want to see this?
I thought you were supposed to
Come
buy
on
those and
over.
then put them in a closet and never use them. I don't know. if
Bring
people
all your
actually use
packaged
those.
items.
I'm sure
Off
it'll happen. I
QVC.
mean, it was the first use. Yeah, first use. It'll go in a closet soon.
That's
I
fun.
use my vacuum sealer all the time. Good for meat.
I mean,
Meat sealer.
I just use the use
Kids
a Ziploc
meat
bag and
sealer.
use a
.net.
straw and suck out all the air.
that gets the
Sucking
same thing.
chicken air.
Wait, hold on.
Okay,
What the
no,
Like
fuck
that
now
guy
did
that
you
eats the
say,
raw
Kenzie?
chicken.
No,
You've
okay,
never done that before,
I don't
Hunter?
put raw. I
You
don't
can
use it for
vacuum
raw
seal
meat.
pretty well that way
Yeah.
with the
By
straw.
put it-
by what? Just putting a straw in a Ziploc bag?
Yeah, you
Yeah, and then
close it all the way.
suck all
put
the air, and
straw
then
in
you-
the corner and suck it. and
If
then
you don't want to put your mouth on raw chicken air though, you can put it all in, leave a tiny little
Raw
bit, and then
chicken air.
roll it up
Yeah,
like on the
Can you
counter
just-
to push the air
that's,
out.
That's what I do. I'm gonna.
That's not
I'll
as good.
avoid the
Suck the chicken
Why does it
air.
have to-
the straw
Why do we have to
sucking
be-
raw chicken air.
Why does it have to be raw chicken? I was just sealing some like
The only thing you would vacuum seal in our
you know,
in our houses.
some
What are you sealing?
strawberries.
What are you
Like, why
straw
is it-
sucking? Straw
Why are you
sucking?
vacuum sealing them?
Sucking.
Strawberries. Nice.
Yeah, I'd rather we're
Granola.
just sucking strawberry air. over
Granola
here.
air.
Okay.
I'd
And
rather
the top
suck
20 Misfit
strawberry.
women of
all right,
2024
Down to
Open
business now,
are
down to business.
Chicken air.
Chicken Air,
Number 1.
McKenna Enslin, Paige Semenza, Shaylin Laurie, Mackenzie Riley, Kelly Clark, Kelly, Caroline Spencer, Lindsay Hoffman, Katie Ewan, Adrian Winges, Lynn DeFeed, Kenzie Christie, Emma Hagstrom, Megan Jurovic, Julie Pettit Lane, Shelby Kenville, Danielle Sakala, Nicole Dubois, Holly Myers, Tia Guay, and Erica Hammond.
Hey.
Haman. Now we're going to run the random number generator. Kenzie Christie. Oh, you thought you won. You didn't win.
last
Oh,
week?
so close.
Kenzie Christie, please email me, coach@misfitathletics.com.
Should we roll that again?
with
She
your
won
sizes.
last week, Drew. Or
Did
is
she?
Is it just luck of the
God
draw?
damn, luckiest person on earth.
We'll
Buy a
run it
scratch
again.
ticket.
You haven't emailed me yet, so you can get a double prize. If you email me. Generate. Megan Jurovic.
There it
Has
is.
she won?
No.
Megan, congratulations on your open
Congrats.
finish and on winning. Please email me, coach@misfitathletics.com, with your sizes and an address that we can ship your gear to. All right, the gentlemen. Austin Spencer, Anthony Como, Brandon True, Adam Selmani, George Regas, Kyle Moline, Brock Diaz, Anthony Greco, Hunter Wood, Ryan McKay, Mike Kern, Chris Colvin, Matthew Sherburne, Justin LaSala, Zachary Fowler, Shane Lloyd, Graham Faulkner, Evan Spiker,
That's a
Blake
cool name.
Trippy. Yeah, right?
Spiker.
I like the Y, too.
Yeah.
And John Domick. Congratulations, gentlemen, on your open finish. Random number generator, Mike Kern. I think I'm going to roll this again, Mike.
Yeah.
I will send you more gear, but let's roll this baby again. Chris Colvin.
Hey.
Chris, please email me, coach@misfitathletics.com, with your sizes and your address so you can get your free gear. That is it. The 2024 Open is done. I wondered after the 2024 Open if one of the reasons it's 3 weeks now is because that's just about enough as an affiliate owner.
That's
and I
enough of
don't
that.
mean that we didn't have fun for 3 weeks, but I mean if it was 4, it was 5, I don't know that the interest would stay the same and it would be as exciting for the community. I feel like that 3-week chunk is about right. Plus or minus a week, something like that. I don't know if you guys agree.
I think it's enough to keep the interest without getting people over it. Like, it's easy to come up with like 3 themes for the intramural teams and get people excited for 3 weeks, but I do think it would drag on a bit too much and just be the attendance in classes. Like, I looked week to week at like how people participated in week 1 versus week 2 versus week 3. And like week 1, we got, I don't know, like 99 out of 101. So like all but 2 people who signed up participated. Week 2, it was like 90 out of 100. And then like week 3, it was like 85 out of 100. So like drop off happens. And if you do that 2 more weeks, you get like 60, I think, just because the interest is lost.
Still
or
pretty
people
good
get sore or
retention,
hurt.
though.
Yeah, it's still really good. But I think at some point, people are just going to be either messed up from the workouts, discouraged with how they do. There are many reasons why someone might stop doing the open workout, but I think the attention span, the duration's pretty spot on for the affiliate level, essentially because, you know, for them it's just a community event to get their members excited and kind of see where their fitness is, as opposed to like most open participation like at the affiliate levels. Like, I'm going to the CrossFit Games. It's like, no, you're here to see where your fitness is, have some fun, engage with the community, and then, you know, set up your training for next year.
Yeah, I think the 3 weeks is good. It obviously, like, it's not 3 weeks is better than 5 weeks in a vacuum. I think that because I don't know, we haven't had the same season structure since like 1986, but like it seems like they're trending in the direction of like, let's make the affiliate kind of, or the the affiliate kind of the center of the Open, which I think is the right move, and I think as it should be. And then, you know, we can, depending on how cynical you're feeling at the moment, can either say that CrossFit increased the top X percentile to make people pay them more money, or, you know, whatever it was, or you can say they expanded that a little bit to say like, hey, 5 weeks is a long time for the average gym goer to be in the Open. here's an additional opportunity to compete in quarterfinals. And there's also the element of like if they continue kind of the programming style that they have in the Open, where it's a bit more accessible, probably logistically a little bit more friendly, then that also entices people maybe who would otherwise definitely not qualify for, you know, the top 10% as they have in previous years, and then get the opportunity to go do that in quarterfinals and maybe show off some of the skills that they didn't get to in the Open. Maybe they get to, you know, odds are you're going to get to lift something heavy in quarterfinals, and, you know, your average affiliate goer may not have had that opportunity in the Open, but because there are more people going to quarterfinals, they now have the opportunity to kind of show their stuff in that regard. So yeah, I think 3 weeks. I mean, 3 weeks is more than enough. Every year that we've done 3 weeks, Sherb and I look at each other and say, how the fuck did we ever do 5 weeks when the announcement was at like fucking 1 a.m.
Midnight.
and you're doing podcast at 2 a.m.
Especially when the gym here was such a competitive haven. Like, it was a fucking nightmare doing 5 weeks of, like, you have to be in the mindset of, like, we're filming and you know, tape lines and all of this different shit, and then you have to snap into community mode, and you're counting double unders and wondering
Yeah,
how
and
many more
ultimately,
cups of
I
coffee
mean,
you have to have to keep your
I
shit
remember
together.
too thinking to myself, like, oh man, the people, like the competitor, it's like, I don't care about your camera setup, like you figure that out. Like I got a heat of 15 people to run, and we're doing 25-foot walking lunges with barbells that are 6 miles wide. Like your video is the last of my concerns right now. And I think this format, meaning a little bit less kind of lower burden for the competitor to film and submit scores, because we have quarterfinals and, you know, whatnot for that. And just a little bit more accessible, easier to run as an affiliate coach, which is definitely appreciated. So thought it was a solid Open.
Kenzie, I'll give you the honors. What do we think about 24.3 as a workout? Typically when we're talking about it on here, you have the gift of hindsight. So you can take it in whatever direction you want, but what did you think of 24.3?
It was definitely the hardest workout of the 3. It was definitely
Disagree. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh man, I think it was. I mean, was it a good test? Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely made you. I like that it had like escalating skills in it, and I think it was. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I try not to like overanalyze it. I guess I don't analyze it at all. I don't know. I liked that it brought in like the classic like Fran, you know, combination and made it like different. But I hated it. So
I
Why'd you hate
got
it?
so
there's
much. I
that.
got so much analysis for you. Don't worry. I will
Okay.
overanalyze the shit out of this workout.
Okay.
I thought
thank
it was
you.
a gas tank test disguised as a gymnastics test. A lot of athletes were really wondering about the movements versus the stimulus. And I think that
Yeah.
that's very common for even, you know, really gifted athletes, because you hone in on I'm good at this or I'm not good at this. And I think a
Right.
lot of people were really shocked with just sort of this state of their body, you know, head to toe, how they're breathing, how they're feeling, you know, serious oxygen deprivation. Like if you used one of those, those monitors are pretty hot right now, the like nitric oxide ones that people are putting on different muscle groups. And I'd be interested to watch, I'm sure WOD Science did one for this workout as well, but like how quickly you just go from being fully oxygenated in your upper and lower body to just gone. Like I have nothing. So I like it when they set traps. Like I enjoy that, because then athlete IQ was brought into play. We got to watch Jay Crouch and Ariel Lowen just a little spicy on that first part and see what happens there. And high level athletes they live in a fucking time warp. Like you watch them and you think they're going slow, and then you watch, you know, a Friday Night Lights situation, and you're like, oh wow, they were actually going so fast. It's crazy. But when it's simple movements like that, and you see rest, and you see, you know, Colton Mertens, whatever, sub 8:10, like waiting to do sets of stuff, it makes it feel like it's slow, but it's obviously not. So I thought it was a really good really, I tried to say good and cool at the same time. I couldn't decide. I thought it was a really good, cool test for the reason of you give manageable sets out to disguise the fact that it is crazy volume of both. And then athletes have to figure out how to execute.
Yeah, it was definitely a trap. It was definitely deceiving. Especially the low reps, like the small, like, oh gosh, like seven reps. I can do that shit all day. Like, when you feel confident in your skills, but you didn't really realize how you're going to feel when you got there.
Yeah. How about 85? How about 50 chest to bar and 30?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and I say things like that. And sometimes I think an athlete's like, okay, yeah, but like I get breaks and shit. Like I'll be fine. And it's like, no, read that.
Yeah.
That's 85 of those.
It
That's
took
a
me
lot of those movements.
2 minutes
It's crazy.
to do 7 thrusters at the end of that workout. Like 2 full minutes from the time I finished my forward set. Yeah, I went back on my score sheet. It's fucking like a minute 58 to do 7 fucking thrusters at the end of that workout. I went back and saw that. I was like, no, that can't be right. But like the rest of the timing looks correct.
That's
The
embarrassing.
rest of the timing looks correct there. I was fucking slow. 2 goddamn
You're
minutes to do
saying
7
dropped
reps.
off your 7th to doing your first bar muscle up. So like sort of took you 2 minutes, but that includes
yeah,
transitioning
from
in
the
and
time
out.
from like transitioning.
okay.
Yeah, but still like I didn't.
No, I mean,
I didn't.
I'm not saying it's
finish, I didn't finish the thrusters until 2 minutes after I finished the bar muscle ups, which I was like, that felt like 8 seconds, and it was fucking 120.
And like when I think about like, gosh, like, okay, so, because I didn't think I went. I mean, I don't, comparatively, I don't think I went out that hot. But then when I think about it, if I went out slower, I don't know if it really would have mattered, because this shit's gonna find you regardless of how. I mean, it's gonna be worse the more worked up you are, obviously, because there's nowhere for your heart rate to come down. But I think regardless, if you even keep your shit together in the first half, like it's gonna be bad at some point.
How
like
long did the first 5 take you, Kens? 4.5 minutes? 4 minutes?
Yeah, somewhere. I don't even remember. Oh wait, no, my scorecard's
Can you
not.
tell me 413? Did I make that up?
It was. Did I say that? Maybe. Did you ask me? It was something like that. It was. Yeah, it was like 4. Yeah. 06. Because I remember I went at 5:06 for the second half.
What was your tie
I think
break
that's
time,
pretty good.
Sherb?
That was.
Mine?
Yeah.
My tiebreak
Doesn't
time
have
was
a tie break. He finished it.
Yeah. Well, 5:02 is when I finished the first 5 rounds. I'm literally looking at my sheet right now. It's like every round it's like 50 seconds to do a movement roughly, except for that set of 7 thrusters at the end where I finished the bar muscle ups at 11:26, and then I finished those thrusters at 13:21. Minute 55 to do 7
interval work.
Fucking yeah, dog. It's easier.
People still do
Here.
that shit.
Bad.
People in our gym that go out there and do open workouts, like redos on like Sundays and Mondays, will come see me and be like, yeah, no, I do a round in 2 minutes and then I wait until 2:30 to go again. And I'm like,
I remember doing that.
that's
one
the most
year.
insane shit ever. No, just go slower. Like if this involves
tried,
like a
coach.
rower, like what are we doing here? Like get on the fucking rower.
No, I did that one time.
Hunter and Sher, workout thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was a great test because it provided like the spectrum of like, one, again, just like kind of the previous workouts, very accessible to everyone. And then also like basically everyone has a different strategy for this workout for the most part. Like some folks like on, the extreme end, Kenzie going as fast as possible. Obviously there's still a lot of strategy involved there, but it's for time. You've got the athletes in the middle, maybe like myself and Sherb, who are, fighting to finish it. And we require kind of like a little bit more nuance as far as how fast you're supposed to go in that first part, making sure that you give yourself enough time to complete the second 5 rounds. And then you've also got like on that other the very opposite end of the spectrum, you've got an athlete who's like, hey, I've never gotten a bar muscle up yet, and my workout is really my tie break time, where it's like I've got 5 rounds for time, quote unquote, maybe not as fast as possible, but the goal is to give yourself as much time as possible on, first of all, you still have to get through 7 heavy thrusters, which prove to be a real challenge for a lot of athletes, especially after 50 thrusters at 95 pounds. And then kind of the classic, like, hey, okay, you got there. Like, can you get yourself over the bar, move yourself up 10,000 places? Can you get yourself over the bar a second time, move yourself up another 5,000 places, etc.? So, and then the stimulus too, like, really kind of varies heavily. Like for me, it was all muscular. Like I was certainly breathing heavily, but limiting factor for me, among other things, was like the muscular fatigue that came with it. Someone like, Kenzie, Caroline, Kelly, whatever, who can really push the gas tank component of this, much more, metabolic versus like muscular failure type thing. And then again, back to that affiliate level end of the spectrum, it's like, it's a gas tank. It's kind of all of the above. It's a fitness test. And I think that's what kind of makes it a good test, in that everybody can play, everybody has a different type of challenge within their workout. And that type of challenge is dictated more often than not by the athlete's current fitness and skill level. And then they get to throw what they have at the workout, and everybody gets something just a little bit different, which is what I think makes it a really cool test. So I thought it was a good workout.
Sure.
Felt very gassy to me. But that's probably because I was standing around a bunch, catching my breath the entire time.
Those are your 24.3 thoughts, big guy?
Yeah.
That's the whole gist. What'd you think of
Yeah.
it? Good test? Not a good test?
No, it was a good test. I think we were due for something on the pull-up bar, and we hadn't done the classic thruster pull-up combo, so like sort of had a feeling that was coming. I honestly thought we were going to get the repeat of 33, 27, 21, 15, 9, because, historically, outside of last year's Open, we normally got repeats in the year after year, kind of to see where the community is. And it's kind of interesting that that's the new plan moving forward, is they don't retest workouts. I assume, obviously, that's because of the 3 workout factor as opposed to 5, where you kind of have the opportunity to do a retest workout. But my thought then goes to, does quarterfinals present a retest to see the community? Because I think it's a big selling point of the program to other people who are like talking to their friends, not necessarily like, hey guys, I got 15 more reps on 21.1, because their friends are like, what the fuck is that? They're like, no, I'm like working out and I'm getting better at this stuff. And I think you would like it too, because you would get better. So I think there's like a anecdotal, like, hey, this stuff works really well for me and I'm feeling really good. You should try this as well. That extends beyond the like, here's what my score is, because the casual fan or the friend of the CrossFitter doesn't understand what that really is. So I think something is missing there. And as happy as I was to see a pull-up bar, and I basically predicted that it was going to be some sort of bar pulling in thruster, I do miss the retest kind of portion of the Open, and I hope that comes back at some point. More
The
so
only
for
devil's
Philly members
advocate
anyways.
that I can bring to that situation is, as a remote coach, you're always looking to, like, if an athlete's feeling especially that way about something, that you can actually go find the comparison anyways. So like what I'll do is I'll pull up a workout like what you referenced. We've got a few on there, and look at their worldwide ranking or their Northeast ranking or whatever, and be like, hey, we didn't get the opportunity to go in and like, sweep this workout away and say, okay, it's not a weakness anymore exactly, but this is a very similar stimulus, obviously same movement patterns, that sort of thing. It's really cool that you were 299th in the world and jumped all the way up to 75th or something like that, because people end up in those brackets that we talk about sometimes, comparing themselves to different people. And, maybe they did well in 0.1 and 0.2, struggle with pulling gymnastics. But if they go based on their own historical context, they can actually see that they got significantly better. So that is one way that you can, either as an athlete or a coach, go in and tell someone like, hey, you actually do have a basis of comparison here, because this movement pattern comes up a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, all I was going to add is I think I think they will get that retest back in their SHRB eventually. You just can't do that every year if 1/3 of the Open workouts are retest. Like, you run out of retests, a couple of years down the road, and we're just duplicating lots of workouts and stuff like that. So I'm sure they will. I wouldn't be surprised to see either old Open workouts or, old quarterfinal or even like regional workouts sneak their way into programming. We've seen that at various levels of competition where, the games will do a beefed up version of an old an old regional workout or vice versa. So I think we will still get that retest in. Just whether or not it happens in the Open or elsewhere is to be determined, I guess.
I don't know, it'd be nice to see. I just like I like that, to see the community progress and to have like hard and fast evidence. I love that with the old like 16.4 is 18.4, and fucking 2 years ago everyone averaged in the the 99th percentile, got this many reps, and then 2 years later it's 25 more reps. Like, holy shit, look how much fitter the community is getting. And we do get that with like what the tests look like, what the CrossFit Games looks like, but I always like the hard data. I think that's one of the coolest things that really drew me into CrossFit, was like the hard and fast, like the empirical evidence that you are getting fitter. And I would like to see it make a comeback at some point, but I do see your point.
One important thing that I don't want to gloss over that Hunter brought up about the workout in terms of it feeling like a different stimulus to him, I actually think that illustrates how and why we program the way that we do with the different stimuli that we have. So for anyone listening that doesn't follow our programming, we typically write workouts within 3 different sort of avenues. We have muscle endurance. So the idea of a muscle endurance workout is either we're using different movements to run interference on one another and make you figure out what you're going to do and how you can move more efficiently, how you're supposed to break something up. Or it can be as simple as you've got I believe in a recent programming meeting, we named it a sufficiently sized turd. So this big set of something in the middle of a workout, and you're like, how do I navigate that? What do I do when there's a chipper and they ask me for 100 toes to bar? That sort of thing. So that would be your muscle endurance type workout. Gas tank workouts, again, same sort of concept, but it's more on the breathing side. We want to put you in a place where you cannot continue to do the movement at high intensity because you're breathing so heavy that you have to break certain things up more based on metabolic demand. And then last but not least is cardio, which we got a perfect example of a cardio workout with 24.2. We'll often refer to it as a merry-go-round, but basically we want unbroken and fairly quick transitions within a workout. And what's cool about this is the best of the best can turn a gas tank or a muscle endurance workout for everyone else in the entire world into a cardio workout for themselves. So I was aspiring to move through the CrossFit space and get to a point where we can be potentially like unbroken, smooth, and quicker transitions when everyone else is not able to do that. Is this a PSA for going unbroken and things? No, that's not what that means. But what's interesting about this workout specifically is that it presented different ones for different athletes, right? And there's also different reasons why that would happen. So for Hunter specifically, I would say that the muscle endurance of the workout was pre-fatigue going into 135 thrusters. That would be sort of the crux of what that was for him. He didn't look super comfortable with that barbell in that moment. And of course, he's done all of that work already. He has to do that. Then he has to go to do bar muscle ups. Then he's got to come back to do it. For some athletes, it was actually extremely grippy, which is interesting. So then you have to audit what we call movement cost. Like when you're going into it, is it actually a grippy movement? Are you doing the motorcycle grip the whole time over and over on the workout? Like every time you extend your hips, does your grip come off? Do you wrap your thumb? Do you get your pinky knuckle on top of the bar? There's all these different things that would adjust movement costs. You could take someone with the exact same, you could take a twin, that was exactly the same as you, but moves a little bit better. And then it's not a grippy workout, that sort of thing. So this stuff becomes fascinating as you continue to break it down, and it gives us an opportunity to educate athletes on how to improve on things. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do well in this workout specifically, you want to ask why. And obviously, we could go super deep on that, energy systems and strength and skill and mental side and all of that and athlete IQ, but it gives us an opportunity to have a concrete example of this is why we do what we do and how we do it and how we could use it to improve.
It's also like to not to just beat a dead horse here, but like it can go even farther to like what type of athlete are you? So I would say like Kelly's a good example and is probably on the opposite end of someone like Kenzie. And I don't know how you did this workout, Kenzie, but I have to assume that you
Big
did not
sets,
do
lots of
things
rest.
Yeah, big sets, lots of rest. Not Kenzie's a small maybe does 35 squat clean thrusters, but still beats you in the workout. That's probably an extreme example, but the point is, Kenzie, like, give me a 2-sentence synopsis of how you did the workout. Did you break things up from the start? Did you do the
Yes.
first part unbroken?
Yes, I even the
Okay.
first 10 thrusters. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. So CrossFit Games athlete deliberately breaking up 65-pound thrusters from the start. When I talked to Kelly about this workout, she is a power athlete, much more on the kind of explosive end, and prefers larger sets with more rest. We've worked on improving that because that's not something that you can always turn a workout into. You have to have the flexibility to do something like, 6-4 on the barbell, but I told her, I was like, here's the conundrum. You are better and more comfortable with bigger sets and bigger rest. The problem with that is that you have to be extremely disciplined with your rest period, which is not something you've historically been all that confident
That is so
with.
rare too.
And it's like,
That skill.
we got it. Yeah, it's hard. It's a difficult skill. You're probably on one end of the spectrum or the other. So it was like, hey, I'm okay with you trying to do bigger sets with this movement, but you just have to be on your rest period and making sure that you're not just getting time warped, because like you mentioned at the beginning, Drew, this is like a time warp sort of workout for basically everyone. If you just overextend yourself a little bit too much and get caught with a 45-second rest between sets of barbell thrusters. So just kind of goes to show that there's just a tremendous amount of variance in this workout based on, all of the factors that we've just kind of covered.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting that you can be so Kelly, more of a power-based athlete, Kenzie, more of an endurance-based athlete, but you can be anywhere on that spectrum and not have something like transition discipline. And that's when you end up with a score that does not reflect your fitness level. And that's why I could not stand at the whiteboard last week and film a strategy that did not explain that spectrum. I'm not going to, just for clickbait, going to give you, okay, go do this and then go do this and then go do this. Because if I tell you to break it up in that way and you don't have that discipline, it's going to take you way longer. It's going to take you fucking forever. So like saying that to people isn't always the best strategy. And I think it's super important that you and Kelly noticed that, Hunter. I asked every athlete who asked me for advice that I knew had the capability of doing unbroken sets related to this workout. Like, what feels natural to you? Big sets, longer rest, or shorter sets, short rest? Like what can you actually perform on? Because other people will use someone else's strategy for a workout like this for sure and see if there's some fucking magic trick, when the reality is exactly what Kenzie said at the beginning of this. It's like, okay, I went 2 seconds slower here and I just gave it back, or I went faster here and I lost it at the end. Like, if you're within a reasonable band of time, it's going to shake out exactly how she said. Like, it's not going to change that much. So that, again, that makes this workout even more interesting, because if you are any one of those athletes but don't possess the, like, I don't even know what you would call it. Definitely is in the realm of athlete IQ for sure, but like the ability to execute on the plan that lines up best with your energy systems.
Yeah, I think a lot of people associate like their performance and success with like how big of, I think luckily it starts to trend away from that the higher level you get, but like probably in that mid-level, like hatchet level, affiliate competitor type level, where it's like, yeah, the challenge is unbroken. It's like, can I do this workout unbroken? It's like, this isn't...
We're back to the midwit meme again.
Yeah, that's not what this workout is. This workout is 170 repetitions for time. I don't care if you do it 1 rep at a time if you're higher on the leaderboard than someone who did it, quote, unbroken, or, well, I did the first 5 rounds unbroken and then I blew up, but I did the first 5 unbroken. It's like, yeah, there's the thumbs up, there's the bubble thumbs up, and when
Wow.
maybe that's okay during training because you're learning something, and the conversation I would have had with Kelly if that training piece came up might be like, hey, your strategy is 6-4 the whole way, and like learn to be more disciplined about your rest. But it's the CrossFit Open. It's what is the best way that I know how to get the best score possible. Like, we're going to leverage every bit of the strength and try to make sure that the thing that you're deficient in as far as workout strategy just goes under the rug for this performance, because I'm looking for best time, not coolest sounding strategy.
It's a thing that you have to train, though. I think that athletes need to spend most of their time training, but every once in a while, circle the piece, try to do it as if they were gaming it with what they think is the best strategy, and then evaluate the strategy after it. And I think that, the athlete that you just spoke about, Hunter, is someone who's constantly in the idea of like, all right, I'm training. I can do these big unbroken sets, but like, is that the best play? And for a lot of athletes, not being able to recognize the difference between when it's the best time to take a swing like that and see what happens, and when it's not a good idea to do that. And just, it's a practice habit. The more you test yourself up against it, you try to take big sets sometimes and then short rests sometimes, and mixing back and forth is the only way you get confident enough to know what is in fact the best strategy for you.
And I something that I thought in my strategy, other than I'm going to go off feel, because that's like it's like the cliche answer I feel
Your
like
default?
we hear all the time when they're like, how on the interviews, it's like, where are you going to break this up? Oh, I was just going to go off of feel. It's like what you hear, and you're just like, what a cop out. But like, honestly, that's literally
confidence. Hold
feel
on.
like I've
That is not.
approached.
Athletes need me to tell them this wild shit. And if an athlete does agree that they're willing to go based on feel and adjust on the fly, I actually look at that as a level of confidence, because some people are like, please, coach, tell me. And I'm just like, I'm not going to be out there.
Yeah. But you also have to be smart enough to know, like, just because you feel good doesn't mean you should just keep holding on. Like, you got to be able to think about the end of the workout. That's what I tell a lot of my friends and athletes I work with is think about the end of the workout at the beginning. Like, are you going to be able to maintain what you're doing at the beginning at the end? And if you feel like that's a no, then like probably don't do what you're going to do at the beginning if it's going to end you in singles on the bar muscle ups or whatever, But I was going to say is seeing, like, it's kind of I don't know if people realize it's not just entertainment, like being able to see the best people in the world do it. It's like, okay, what did they do? I'm fairly certain not once were they like, 10 and 10 for 5 rounds. I'm probably going to break the first round. Like, I'm sure they heard 7 and 7, and I'm going to assume not really did they think that would need to be broken either, because they're fucking really fit and they can probably do that. Like, my first thought was, well, if they held on and didn't break things immediately, I don't know if that's and I know I'm not doing what they're doing on a daily basis, and I'm not where they are. I don't think it's wise for me to think I should be doing what they're doing. like maybe that's me being not as confident, but it's also me being smart and using like a clue that I saw, I don't know, maybe I'm way off, but it helped me like have a realistic understanding of like what this workout does to people when you see what happens to them and see what
Getting
they
to
did.
see that right off the bat is the greatest. Like, it's so helpful as a coach.
Right.
Like, watching it and being like, because I think you go into it and I do my little spreadsheet and I try to guess what the time's going to be, but like, I don't care if I'm off by like a minute or something like that. Like, that doesn't bother me. I'm like, okay, what's the rep speed here? How many transitions we got? Like, I decided that 8:11 was the fastest possible time in this workout. And that was close. I was off by like 8 seconds or something like that. But watching the workout, I immediately had significantly different advice for multiple people after watching them go. Like, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. You have to go out and execute on this like mountain of like metabolic demand, and then we get our data. All right, let's go to bigger picture on the Open, because we're wrapping up the final week of the Open. Is there anything that you guys think was missing from the Open? Did you really like the programming? Kenzie, you can have first dibs if you want, or you can listen to all of us rant and then decide how you feel about it.
You know, um, I don't know. I mean, 3 weeks it's tough to do it all in 3 weeks, obviously. And the good news is
Yeah.
guess what? We got plenty more opportunities in the next phase and the next phase. Like, I think that, I don't know. Do I feel like, I don't know if it's necessary to be testing like top end strength in the open. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but obviously we know there wasn't a max lift or like, obviously 95 pound, 135 pound thrusters was a little test of strength, also test of fitness. So it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily a strength test. Um, but that might not be necessary to test at this point. So I don't know. I mean, I, I try not to overthink this, guys. I'm the worst. I'm not an analyzer. I'm just a doer.
No,
Believe it or not, I don't think about what I do a lot of the times.
you gave me a
Shocking.
perfect segue to complain
Just
about
do
there
it.
not being a max lift.
What?
I mean, I can play devil's advocate, which I will do after, but the idea of making sure that everyone can do this thing in their garage and we're all doing these workouts against each other, from I just started to top of the tip of the spear. Like, the easiest way to do that is a 1 rep max lift. Like, one of the easiest ways to do that is a 1 rep max lift. Because there's no scale division, there's no nothing. There's just like, I don't need to be able to do 50-pound dumbbell snatches. I don't need to be able to do double unders. I don't need to be able to cycle 185-pound barbell, that sort of thing. So I just like, I would want to ask Castro like what goes into making that decision, on, his weekly update, his olive oil, YouTube, and just figure out what the answer is, because devil's advocate, it was really cool back in the day when he would program regionals and it would be heavy one year, the whole community would overcorrect, and then he had that year that was super light and super gymnastics heavy, and I thought that was cool. Like, I like that. I like that you have to be prepared for all of these things. They mix them in enough that you're not sure if they're going to come up. So that's why you prepare for everything, right? So I do like that element of it. So I'm almost arguing against myself, but I would want to know what goes into that, because one nuance would be if it's a different lift, then you aren't able to guess what you're trying to prepare for. Could be a pull, could be a squat, that sort of thing. So I would just want to know why not. Like, is it annoying for affiliate owners? Do we just make sure you're ready for it and do it some years and don't do it other years? Like, I don't know. I feel like the leaderboard is more accurate based on how the sport is presented in other stages if there is a max lift. Like, no offense to the people at the top, but they're not going to be there if there's a max lift.
And honestly, I think that if they're going for a community vibe, I mean, everyone loves to lift with their friends around, and like in a social, like,
Yeah.
people get hyped up, like it's different. So I mean, if they are thinking like, yeah, like, okay, we're starting out with stuff everyone can do, and trying to be more like inclusive, like you said, that's definitely something that they could do. And if you want to bring about community and good vibes and cheering people on, like, that's another great, everyone knows that, right? So why else would they do heavy lifting on Saturday night at the CrossFit Games when everyone's there, like in a big stadium? Like, there's a reason you do that. So I don't know. I could see that that's where that could have fit in and played into like the whole concept of like what the Open is about in this kind of new structure. But other than that, I mean, it wouldn't have done me any favors probably at this stage of my fitness, but whatever.
Same.
Personally, it's not about my personal journey here. But for the greater good of the community, I would have been okay to see it, I guess. But I don't know. Like I said, like, it's only 3 weeks now. It's so weird. Like you said, it's crazy to think that we ever did 5, but I don't know, 3's enough, and you just know there's more coming for some of us, and for those that
but
don't give a crap about the Open, they're glad it doesn't last 5 weeks probably.
Yeah, but again, when you like, the comparison is a 5-week Open straight to semifinals,
Yeah.
right? There was no quarterfinal, there was no intermediate stage to help filter further. So, like, you're right, that 3 weeks would not be enough if the next stage were semifinals, and there would need to be a lift in one of those 3 weeks if the next stage were the CrossFit Games qualification stage, but it's not. And so the only part of that I'm going to agree with, I think I kind of disagree with most of what was just said. And I think the only part I agree with is the community aspect of a lift. And I think it's cool when athletes get to, they've figured out the way to do it such that, like, because the first year they did the lift, it was like, okay, someone does one toes to bar, waits for 15 minutes, and then does a 405 clean and jerk and is at the top of the leaderboard. And they were like, okay, that wasn't the point. Let's figure out a way to do this. Then it was like, okay, you get to lift if you finish the workout within this amount of time, and how fast you do the workout means how much time you have to lift. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but that also excludes a lot of the community who just doesn't finish the workout. And then they had the, like, okay, you have this Metcon. Once you finish it, you rest for 1 minute, and then you have 5 minutes for this lift. If you get time capped, you have a 1 minute rest, and then you also have 5 minutes for the lift. And I feel like that's kind of where they landed as far as, like, okay, everybody gets to lift, but everybody has to earn it. And if you tank the first portion of the workout, like, there's enough people competing nowadays that it doesn't fucking matter. Like, you can do a 505 clean and jerk, but you're going to take 30,000th on the Metcon and you're irrelevant anyway. So that's the only part that I think is missing.
It helped when they tacked it to the end, right? Because then, like, on a leaderboard, you had to do 22.1 and 22.2
and it's a
22.3.
separate workout. It's effectively
Right.
a 4-week open as opposed to a 3-week or a 3.5-week open. So I think that, again, my argument is just that we have to think about the CrossFit Open in the context of the entire season progressing to the CrossFit Games. I almost think of, like, the Open quarters and semifinals as, like, stage one, and then the CrossFit Games as, like, this is a different test, and, like, the slate gets wiped clean because we're going to retest all of the time domains and things that we didn't necessarily get to do in the preceding stages. So while there wasn't a max lift in the 3 weeks of the Open, there is now a lot more accessibility for people to compete at the next stage, and I'm willing to bet we'll see a max lift there or a heavy lift. 2 is that, like, the question of just kind of like, are we going to is there going to be a max lift at every stage? Like, because would we not see a lift at semifinals? Like, that'd probably be kind of weird. People doing like, we're probably going to have to see a lift in either the Open or quarterfinals, and I think the quarterfinals is obviously the best place for it. And then the third kind of argument there is, like, a bit of a kind of nod to the CrossFit methodology and classic CrossFit, and it's like CrossFit is a conditioning program, is a strength and conditioning program, and, like, a 130 for one, like, for a lot of people, a 135 thruster is a lift in itself, and especially at that point in the workout. For athletes who it's not a lift for, like, what the only way that they get to show their strength is with a 1 rep max lift, whereas the average gym goer, like, I could also argue that, and, like, the clean complex from the previous year, like, that's more complex for a beginner CrossFitter than a thruster is. Like, why don't we just give somebody a heavier thruster to do as opposed to asking them to max out on a highly technical lift? There's obviously logistical limitations as far as, like, a 1 rep max back squat or a deadlift or something like that for a lot of affiliates. But I think that the Open did its job in that across a 3-week workout, we're going to see couplets and triplets, mostly in the short to medium time domain with one longer workout. The skills are not necessarily a hindrance for most people, except for, like, the back half of the final workout, which is designed to kind of be like the separator for the average affiliate goer. And therefore, I don't think it's necessary that the 3 weeks of the Open has a lift with the purpose of getting the right people to quarterfinals and then getting the right people to semifinals.
The only thing that I didn't mention already that I think the Open is missing, the first thing being the retest, is just I like that the Open used to push people to acquire new skills, and I don't know if that was really a thing this year. Like, the skills that we saw in the Open are great. They showed up. But, like, even the wall walk the first time, there people were like, oh yeah, I've done, like, a wall walk in my warm-up before, but I've never done fucking 80 of these fucking things in a workout. Like, this is a very different stimulus. Or throw 7 muscle ups at the front of the workout, or it starts with, I'm just trying to think of other years, maybe a handstand walk or things of that nature, strict handstand push-up, things that really challenge an athlete, or maybe you have to kind of earn your right to get to. And I guess you could say that you could get there for the, the bar pull, the bar muscle ups that are in the last workout. But I've always really enjoyed the trying to push the community to acquire new things. And I do think that while it probably better fits in quarterfinals, I do like when it shows up in the largest community event in the world and that it pushes the community forward. So, I don't really have too much to add on top of what you guys have already said. And Kenzie, it's just that I do like the retest, and I do like when the entire community is pushed to do something it's outside their comfort zone. And maybe that was the 21 consecutive snatches on one arm. Like, a lot of people probably don't do that kind of workout. They did the alternating dumbbell snatch in 2017. That just become the standard of how you do dumbbell snatches. But I like when the community is pushed forward by the challenges presented in the open and like, oh, fuck, I won't let that happen to me again.
But do you think that's done by introducing like novel movements? Because like at some point we're going to run out. Like,
yeah, I get that.
There aren't too many more
We're
movements.
just going to say
that we can
circus
mix
act
in.
again.
Yeah, without turning it into like, wall walk plus a handstand push up. It's like, woo, like obviously there might be some creativity with new movements, but are you suggesting just like brand new movements, or like?
Well, just think about like if they had made the fucking second workout crossover single unders instead of double unders. Just again, I don't think that's necessarily a way better workout. It's just that something that would force more of the community to learn that movement. Like the year they had handstand walking. Like, I just like that element, and I agree with you. You can't fucking do it forever. Like, you're not going to say, all right, go outside and throw a softball as far as you can. Like, everybody's got to learn how to throw. But I do like the element of being pushed to do
I'm ready.
to do things that are outside their comfort zone and outside their current capabilities. So, do I want to see a weighted pistol in the open? Fuck no. But they could very well decide to do that some year.
All right. We are running up on time a little bit, but Kenzie, one of the things that I will preface this by saying I have an answer for you that I think is interesting, but I want to see if you get there as well. What does the Open do for you? Like, what's the point of this, knowing that, like, you could, I don't know, Kenzie, maybe you could not even warm up for the workouts and still qualify for quarterfinals. We should have written, don't do what Kenzie Riley would do on the warm-up portion of the video for the strategy. Kenzie got that score, by the way, everyone, without warming up. Can you imagine doing that fucking workout without warming up?
Hey, I skied for a minute. I did 5 thrusters, 5 pull-ups,
The third
and
one?
3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't you do that with the first one too? Didn't you do you sniff the inside of a CrossFit gym, saw somebody warming up, and were like,
handed your kids off to someone and they were crawling
handed
after
your kids
you.
off to a stranger, and you're 8 seconds in dumbbell
did.
snatching.
She's always
Sure
warm from
did.
carrying the kids and Roy around.
Yep. Yeah, and this last one was even
Unknown and
worse.
unknowable Riley.
It was wild. Yeah, no warm-up. There was a 5-minute window for warm-up, basically all 3 weeks. So that is a no-go for. I mean, I'm probably.
Sell that program.
Yeah, I know. I'm a real good spokesman. So I'm not gonna pretend like that was the best way to do it, but it's what happened. So yeah. Wait, what was the question? Don't warm up.
What do you get out of the Open?
Yeah.
No. What do you get out of the Open? Like, why does it matter if you know you're going to advance?
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say. I mean, for me at this juncture in my career, I was still nervous. It's still competition. It's also an opportunity for me to, like, in my mind, we all know, I don't know what I'm capable of. I think I'm probably capable of a lot less than I am. So it's a chance for me to test myself against my own expectations, my own, like, it's me against other people, but it's also me against me, and figuring out where I'm at right now with myself in a situation where I'm not just training on my own leisure. Like, there's a little bit element of like pressure applied. There's an element of like different than just my normal workout. So for me, I feel like I do approach it differently. I do take it a little more seriously than I would a normal workout, despite my lack of warm up. Apparently I also do that when it's a competition. So I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of like a checkpoint for me in a reality check, honestly, is kind of what it does for me moving forward, because I didn't get to do competition with. I didn't get to do the community aspect. That's not how. I didn't have the luxury of getting to do that way this year at least. So yeah, it's not for that. Although I did get to go and watch my community, and I got to watch Roy do a workout. That's another story for another day. You should. That was the second week. He thought he needed to go faster than Justin Medeiros and Cole Mertens on the first round of 24.2.
That checks out.
Four rounds.
I
in
see
at
him
8
routinely
minutes.
in their heat. I see them in their heat every year.
And he was pulling. Yeah, I know. And then by 12 minutes, he was pulling a 2:11 on the rower.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, it was funny.
definitely
There
didn't see
wouldn't have
that
been anything
split.
wrong with it if he started with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably would have got a good score if he wrote it.
And I called it. I'm like, and I was telling her, I'm like, just wait. I'm like, he looks good. I was like, wait till about 12 or 13 minutes.
Wait a second.
I was like, just
He
wait. And
looks good.
it was literally to a T. I was like, there it is. And he's like, doing stuff like this on the road. Yeah. I was like, there it is.
I love that.
Oh man, married to a professional. Dude does not fucking learn. I don't understand. Don't.
Why
get it.
won't it read?
Yeah. So, anyways, what was your answer, Drew?
Well, there's the
Why is the Open important for you?
Yeah. Why was it? Why is it?
I
Did you get a thruster? Did you do a 95-pound thruster?
Yes, and I try to get the bottom of the leaderboard for anyone who completed RX, which I believe I did, because I did 1 dumbbell snatch, 1 300-meter row, and 1 thruster. Submitted scores,
Did you get
validated.
last place?
The whole fucking night.
Take a rest week, guy. Take it easy.
I've taken more than 1 rest week. It's the mafia thing. It's the I try to leave and they pull me back in. So Kenzie has different times throughout her career for sure, but even just a single year where she texts me and basically says, like, I have a problem. Like, I don't have time for this anymore, but I also can't stop doing it. And what was interesting about my first conversation with you, we won't get into the entire conversation when you called me the first time about the Open, but you just once again said, like, I really thought I wasn't going to care. And then 3, 2, 1, go. And you went and beat everyone in the gym, basically.
Blood in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's really cool that you get these moments where, like, the Open literally set you up to get started basically on your entire season. Like, you weren't sure exactly what you wanted to do, where you were at, and then you do one workout and you're like, we gotta at least try to do this. Like, I know that's like something that I need to do. And I do find it funny that you keep fighting it year after year. One of these years you're just gonna say to me, like, in September, like, okay, I'm going to train low volume for a year.
Yeah.
But I think that's cool. I think that the Open providing that for you is this like huge, like, trampoline effect into the rest of the year. And I also think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with, once you get to a certain training age, of, like, actually having an off season. Like depending on your goals and who you're competing against, those can be shorter and they can be longer, but, like, beating your head into the wall 52 weeks out of the year is not a solution unless you're, like, 22. And that usually lasts for, I mean, any remote athlete that I've ever had that fought me for more volume didn't make it a full year with me giving them more volume before they were like, would you fucking chill out?
Never went well.
Yeah, so, like, it always backs off. So I don't know. I just thought it was cool that you were able to use the Open for that, because it's very clear. We've had someone on each week, and it's very clear that this thing means a lot to very high-level, accomplished athletes. And if that's the case, this narrative of the Open doesn't matter is just complete bullshit.
Yeah. Is it like is my future in, like, the future of my season hinging on the Open? Like, no, in that I could have probably taken a way bigger shit than I did on the last workout or any of the workouts, and, like, been okay. Like, in a sense, like, does it matter? Like, does it matter that I'm at my best? That doesn't matter, maybe, to be at a certain caliber and not be at your best, and to have your best performances. in the open. No, that doesn't matter necessarily, but it matters because no one is saying you can say you don't care, but the second that you're in that workout, like, it's not like you're not trying. Like, you don't not care, but you're not like stressed over it maybe. So, I mean, I guess that's my answer to, does it matter? Like, yes,
You
it
took
matters.
64th in the world in your division in that workout, so I'm not quite sure you took a huge shit.
Well, it
you
felt
also
like
came
a
in
huge shit.
14th in the
feel like
world
a
in your
huge
division
shit.
without warming up.
I feel like a huge shit 2-3
It's
days
good that
later.
you hold yourself to a high standard. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I just wanted to, throw that out there.
Perspective.
I don't know. I'm tired
Just a
of.
little
I need to
perspective.
stop surprising myself with my fitness, because I'm like, now I'm like I'm like, maybe I'll just magically be able to hold this together. No, that only works in some workouts for me apparently, but that was not one of them. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that great.
All right,
That's
we got to
pretty
wrap
good.
it up. Final thoughts from everyone. Final thoughts can be Kenzie related, Open related, 24.3 related. I don't really care.
I was really happy with how the Open was programmed this year. Like I said, small couple discrepancies here with the pushing the community to do new things and retests. But outside of that, like, it was a really fun event. I think the members really liked it. I think the dose, meaning 3 weeks, was perfectly appropriate. And again, I just implore anybody that loves CrossFit, wants to teach CrossFit, has a CrossFit gym, that they really lean into like making this an experience for their members, because it's a great way to tie your community together. Because that's been the coolest thing I've noticed over the last 3 weeks at the gym level, is that people are excited about training for new things. And it's really cool when the members give a shit and they're not like too cool to learn new things and want to try to do new things at the affiliate, because, that bug of wanting to be better ends up making the person live longer and be healthier, even though right now it's like, I want to get a pull-up. So for me, I really would just tell anybody that owns an affiliate or wants to make that kind of event special at their place, like, really lean into the community element of the Open and, not take it so serious if you're someone that gets too wrapped up in your performance on the leaderboard, but, have a good time with it and lean into that.
Yeah, I think I also like the programming. I thought it was really well written. I think for all the reasons I described earlier about it being accessible enough to a really wide range of people is important. And to kind of go back to your comments, Sherb, on like the skill component to it. I think that like we've been in it for long enough that it's like, oh great, like more double unders, not to pick on double unders, but like, it's like,
Yeah, fuck
that's-
those things.
I know, like that's I did think it was funny that you were like, they should have done crossovers instead of regular
Should've
double unders. That would have been so
Weird.
much better. But
4 or 5 deadlifts instead.
but it's like, I think it's just kind of a nod for athletes. Like, we've been doing this for a very long time, but every year there is a new batch of, 10,000, 100,000, whatever it is, number of people who are introduced to CrossFit for the first time and are just like, I've never got a fucking double under. It's like, fantastic. You got 20 minutes to figure that shit out. And like, a lot of people did do that. They surprise themselves with the number of double unders. It might not be as exciting as, the moment somebody actually catches themselves on top of the rings and everybody screams at them while they wiggle their way to the top. But it is like, it's almost like an easier barrier to entry to give a larger number of people that nod, like, hey, like, I don't know, you never got a double under before and you got 3 rounds of that Metcon, like, that's a pretty good deal, like, nice work. So I thought it was good. And then I think just people have to kind of put it into context with the entire kind of outside of the CrossFit Games, the stages that need to kind of occur in order to get the right people to semifinals and ultimately the CrossFit Games. So the Open, especially with 3 weeks, like, we can't expect the Open to be like a 100% well-rounded test, even though we're probably going to see similar names at the top of the leaderboard that we will in August. But yeah, I had no issues with the programming, and I thought it was a good 3 weeks.
So one thing we didn't touch on either, I think, is the first workout allowed people who are maybe outside the CrossFit community to play along, which is something that hasn't always been the case with the Open. We totally didn't talk about that in this podcast, but it's something I was thinking about as you were talking about it, Hunter. It's like really cool that we had a starting workout this year that, like, you could go, hey, you think CrossFit's dumb, huh? Come do this. And they could do the workout and get fucking mutilated by it and then be like, oh, that was fucking awesome. Because that's like literally how I got bought into wanting to do this. Is like it
Yeah,
fucking
for
chewed me
sure.
up and spit me out, and I was
Fucking
like, cool, I want to do that.
50-pound dumbbell at a commercial gym, like done, easy day.
That's why I thought it was cool that I saw the video of Tyson Bagent doing the workout.
He did it
Just-
fast as shit too.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, as a CrossFitter watching him, like he definitely had some moments
can't
of
hear you.
like, he definitely had some moments of like, he's kind of fallen apart here. And I think the name of the video was "Fittest Quarterback in the World" or something like that. And I'd be like, that's got to be the fittest football player in the entire world. Is anyone in the NFL beating him?
What did he
at
get?
That?
Like I think he was like high 8s maybe.
Yeah, I think right around 9, somewhere in that range.
Sorry,
So-
and who was this? I didn't recognize
This
the
is
name.
the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Tyson Bagent. Travis Bagent's son, the arm wrestling dude that used to announce the CrossFit Games back in the
Seth
day. So
Rollins?
like he grew up doing CrossFit and ended up in the NFL.
Hot
And
dog.
like he was what, Division II in
Yeah,
football?
Division 2.
And he broke like all the fucking records and shit and got a shot. I honestly am having a tough time focusing with Kenzie popping in and out.
Kenzie, you all right?
There's no audio.
We
Kenzie,
should
are
only
you okay?
publish this on YouTube so that Kenzie can.
I'll throw my final thoughts in here while
Give us
Kenzie.
Kenzie's final thoughts. That's what I want you to do.
I'm gonna go a little bit off the reservation with my final thoughts. I actually use the Open for myself as a coach, just as a bit of a gauge to be like, am I still super passionate about this? Is it something that excites me? And this is my 14th Open, both as an athlete and as a coach. And I'm still fired the fuck up. And like, that is exciting for me. If you continue to do this year after year after year, being able to have this moment where it does come back around and you do get sort of reinvigorated after, digging into remote coaching and all that stuff for such a long period of time after the game. So, and probably should just shout out the Misfit community, because everybody that subscribes to misfitathletics.com, buys stuff from Sharpen the Axe, all that stuff, you guys make it possible for us to continue to do this. The staff that we have here, people are passionate about what they do. So for me, it's like the season kickoff every single year. And I can't imagine like whatever 36.2 comes out and I just go, I don't fucking care anymore. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I'm 14 for 14 so far. And that's always exciting to get.
36.2.
Right?
Jesus
I mean, it's going to
Christ.
fucking happen, I think. Am I still going to be sitting in this fucking room talking to you guys? Good God. Kenzie, you're muted. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you can unmute. I don't know if you can still talk to us. We'll give you a few seconds here.
Kenzie's been like, I bet I'm envisioning like an overhead view of Kenzie driving like in Grand Theft Auto, just like crossing over 74 lanes of traffic, trying to.
What's
get
the
her phone
playlist,
on.
though? There's always music playing. I
Yeah.
wonder what Kenzie's music is. She's just driving crazy shapes in the middle of the Target parking lot. She's
in
all
a
over the
circle,
place.
actually.
She's in Target right now in her car.
In Target, driving up and down the lanes.
All right, Kenzie, I think your
It was great.
final thoughts
It was
were
great to
probably
have you,
that.
Kenz.
We're going to get started on prepping you for the CrossFit Games in April, normally when someone starts in the off season. That was a joke. And we're going to have some fun.
Gonna teach her to warm up.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't. It's
Yeah.
working for her.
Yeah.
Don't warm up, kids. It's good for you.
It's good for you. All right. Do we do it?
Did it.
We did it.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Misfit Podcast, and thank you to our show sponsors. You can head to sharpentheaxeco.com, use the code word Kenzie, you save 10%, and she gets 10% towards her lovely trip to Alabama in August. Who's excited about
Greenbow,
going to the
Alabama.
that where Masters
properfuel.co?
are?
That's where Masters are. That's what, remember when they announced the
Home
thing
field
and it
advantage
said
for
the
Kenzie.
the CrossFit Games were going to, was it Birmingham?
Yeah.
That was for the Masters, they think. The like planning and shit like that. So that's where that is, by the way.
Got leaked.
in August, so it'll be nice and cool. Be able to stay. It's gonna be cool.
Man, that's a destination. That's a
Right.
place in the
Yep,
world.
that's a place. MisfitAthletics.com for your individual programming needs. TeamMisfit.com for your affiliate programming needs, and we will see you next week.
Bye.